Welcome to May's Film Critic Life. We have so much to go through this month because May has been absolutely bursting. Saying that, I think June is actually even worse, but that's more for films. TV shows, on the other hand, have been amazing for this month. But first, I just wanted to introduce my guests for this month. I have Lauren here.
Hi, Liv. Hi, everyone.
We both are academics, I would say, and we're just going to go through everything, film, TV, any gossip related for this month of May in 2024. But first of all, I just thought I'd ask Lauren, what are your top films currently?
Oh,
top maybe 4.
What, of all time? Or?
Yeah, of all time.
Okay. So I actually do know those. So the first one is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Okay.
Almost Famous.
Okay.
Dazed and Confused.
I'm learning a lot about you with this one.
And Dogma.
I don't know the last one.
Dogma is by Kevin Smith.
Okay.
Who's like Silent Bob and Jay, and that kind of universe in the 90s. But and it's Dogma it's kind of like a cult classic, and it should be more well known. But it's distributed by Miramax, which obviously Harvey Weinstein, and they can't get if it could get on the streaming platforms, it would be so big.
Yeah,
because it's got like Alan Rickman in it. The cameos are unbelievable. It's got Chris Rock in it. Honestly, the cast is insane. But yeah, those are my top 4 films.
Was it Spotless Mind?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
That comes up quite a lot, and I think it's ends up with quite a, I want to say cult, but the people who love it seem to really love it and have it. It has like a place in their heart.
It really does for me. Like it's one of those. I haven't been able to watch it for a few years because it's it's quite a heartbreaking film. But I had the joy once of going to see it at the Prince Charles Cinema in London.
Yeah, I
took myself on a date, and it was just something so special about getting to go to the cinema when you already know a film is your favourite film, and being like, it's a film I've watched dozens of times, but being like, oh, now I get to finally see it on the big screen. It's such a special experience.
Yeah. Well, they're really good choices. I think at the moment, I don't know all of them, but Lisa Frankenstein's up there for me. Jurassic Park. I would say Saltburn is actually wriggled its way up there, and then Legally Blonde.
Oh, Legally Blonde.
Yeah. But I think these are more like comfort films, more than like, if I had to be like really academic, I'd be like, oh yeah, City of God. And like...
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, I think with mine, I feel like those are my films that I've just mentioned are kind of comfort films, but also I think films that hold up. Legally Blonde, I rewatched a couple back 2 years ago, and I was just like, I was so entertained. I was like, this film still holds up. It's like, there's a lot of this very feminist film. It's very ahead of its time.
Oh, it's great. I did a piece on it not long ago, and I actually talked about the clothing. That's how much in depth you can go. And I was like explaining how they alienated Elle just through her clothing alone, and also it was very queer coded. It's so queer coded. Anyway, we are in a new setup today. I've got some new mics. We're trying to see if this goes, and obviously Lauren is a new guest, so I'm very looking forward to
my podcast debut.
Yeah. And yeah, we're in a new location, so we're hoping it doesn't sound too echoey or anything like that. The first film that actually we want to talk about didn't technically come out in May, but because it came out so late in April, I think we can give it a pass, is Challengers, which came out on the 26th of April. It's a Warner Brother production, starring Zendaya, Mike Fass, and Josh O'Connor. So it is a bit of a bisexual wet dream, as I keep seeing people saying it, because obviously Zendaya and Mike Fass are both quite known in like musical theatre, even though Zendaya hasn't actually done musical theatre because she's a Disney star kid. Mike Fass is known mostly for being in Newsbees, and then West Side Story, and then Josh O'Connor obviously is also a theatre kid, but he was known for Romeo and Juliet a few years back, and most notably The Crown series 3 and 4.
Yeah, well, this was it. I mean, I knew I've watched stuff with Zendaya in. I hadn't watched anything on Mike in before. I'd watched The Crown quite a few times, and so I recognised Josh O'Connor from that. And obviously, we had the experience where we went to go and see Challengers together at the cinema. But what I like is that we have really avoided discussing it at all.
Yeah, so it's been like probably nearly a month now that we went to see it, and we both haven't actually. We both kind of went, "Oh, this is great." We both kind of looked at each other like this was probably the best film we've both seen. It's my second 5 out of 5 stars for this year. My first was Marmalade, which was my first 5 out of 5 stars for this year. And then Challenges is my second. My notes are quite just holy shit. And then I've said, this film was weirdly calming, even though it was so tense.
I like that.
It was, I think, the cinematicness of the cinematography was just the lighting and the way that I want to say the ball, but I feel like that might come over as weird.
No. I mean, like, no, definitely. I think like any tennis puns that we can throw into this, you know, just call it like love and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was great. Match point.
But it was one of those things that I just feel like it's what I've thought about Challenges a lot since I've seen it, which is, and that's what I've seen a lot of the discussions online is people are saying I can't stop thinking about Challenges. Yeah. You know, I mean, I just felt like it's very exciting filmmaking. Like the script was incredibly sharp.
Oh my god, it was the way that it bounced back and forth like a tennis match.
It honestly was. It was
so
just
good.
Like you were just in a cycle of ongoing what is like tennis and life and that kind of thing. And I also really admired like the score from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, because I felt like that was like such a spectacular, potent force throughout. Like it needed that big musical score, like, you know, to match all the cinematic vision.
Yeah, I did see something saying I don't even like tennis, but I think I like the techno, and it made me think I like tennis. Just because of the Challenges. No, I've definitely I've got a lot of comments on the script. I think the cinematography and direction, acting, all absolutely amazing. Like, I can't explain how, like, I keep recommending it to everyone this one. Like, it's so slick and really dives you in. The script alone is the way that it goes in depth. These I wouldn't even say character development, but how these characters psychologically are and their motives and why they are. It's so real. Is one of the big things. It's not like no one's a villain and no one's a hero in this story.
Yeah.
It's literally just the intertwined lives of these 3 people and how they're, like, without spoiling it, but like some of them are successful, but some of them are more passionate about tennis. Some of them just have a love of tennis, and it's them 3, the triangle of them 3 things makes this film. Sorry, there's a dog barking. About passion and going after your dreams and where it gets you.
100%. There was something that I that kind of struck my fancy. And something that I really enjoyed that I read, and I think one of this in The Guardian, I actually have got that, where it said the sex is like tennis, fierce, combative bouts in which there will always be a winner and a loser. And the tennis ultimately is like sex, an ecstatic consummation between 2 perfectly matched people at their glistening physical peak. And I was just like, it was the end of the article, and I thought, you could tell the person who had wrote it very much had like a similar experience to what we've had, and a lot of people that have gone. I have seen some discourse online with some people being like, I didn't get it, I didn't like it, but I think that's quite a small minority.
Yeah, but at the same time, I remember when Dunkirk came out, I found that quite a lot of people that I knew, which was kind of discouraging, didn't understand the film. And that hurt. So yeah, there are films out there that I think people don't understand the back and forth.
Literally with this film,
and I think that's what it is. And
yeah.
The whole film is back and forth. I think and I think what I love about it is that we start with the end, but we don't really know that. And then it obviously builds up, and everything that we're learning when it goes back adds so much to that tension of them final 10 minutes. And the filming, I saw a photo about the floor is like see-through, like they have glass floor at one point so they can film below. And they all did so much work. The actors did so much work. They all learned loads, and they did have stunt people, obviously, for most of it.
But they had, like, you know, they learned how to play tennis well. And I got to say, if I could, I mean, I do intend on watching Challenges again and again, but if I could, you know, sometimes you think, if I could experience watching something for the first time again, to watch that last 10 minutes again, feel it for the first time. Like, I don't think I've ever felt quite literally so on the edge of my seat in the cinema as I did with that last 10 minutes. Because it was just, you kept thinking you didn't know what was going to happen. And, you know, it was, obviously being careful not to spoil anything, but...
Well, I do kind of... The ending is everyone's a different interpretation is what I love. It's the same with Saltburn in a way. Like I a lot of people comparing it because I think it is in this weird majority of like it's a script. There's nothing. You can't really call it a thriller. You can't really call it a love story. It is action. It's like this bliss middle ground of amazing actors, and just amazing script.
Well, that's the thing, and I think like this was Zendaya's first actual film, and she is the main. She's the first name on the poster, first name on the film, and she just just gonna keep on rising. This was just honestly such a fantastic film.
I know, she's amazing. So another film that came out, well, this film came out very, very early in May the 3rd. It's a Universal Pictures film and it's by David Lynch. Cast Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling. So they are the main people, but I do know that Aaron Taylor-Johnson is in it as well.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of random actors in it that are not being advertised because I think it's one of them that you want to go and see it.
Interesting. That's why Aaron Taylor-Johnson and his wife have been a bit more in the media recently.
Yeah, and then obviously she did Back to Black.
Oh, on the Back to Black. Okay, there you go. Oh, I didn't know that because I haven't got around to seeing The Fall Guy.
No, neither of us.
It's one I don't know how long it's going to be at the cinema for, but it's one that I'd like to try and find the time to squeeze in before it's one of those I would like to go and see at the cinema, but it's just,
It's it's already stopped in my local little cinema. I was going to go out and see it, but I just couldn't get around to going. Most people who are seeing it are saying it is such a love letter to the film industry, but I know you know my notes about this, I'm going controversial because I don't think they did the press right to say that it was meant to be this whole thing about the stunts and like praising the stunt teams and but we didn't ever interview any of the stunt team and we didn't ever have them on the red carpet. We only had them literally doing stunts as a promotional stunt, quite literally. And then, interviews, promotion, advertisement was all down to Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling, and I kind of think it would have been amazing if we always had the interview of Ryan Gosling and his stunt double. Same with Emily Blunt. I think they missed an opportunity there to go forward in that way.
That's such an interesting point. It's not one that I had considered at all. I remember that I saw a clip at the premiere with Ryan Gosling saying, big speech, and it did seem a very sincere speech about how, the stunt work needing to be an Oscar category, and that this film is like, as you said, like a love letter. But as you said, really, it's all just words, and for stunts, it needs actions to be.
It did. I don't know if you win a Guinness World Record, I guess you do, but it did do the most stunts in a film ever, which is quite cool. But it has underperformed in its opening weekend, so I'm hoping it does get a second lease of life when it comes on streaming.
Well, also it's like, was this the right time? I mean, I would have said, maybe there should have been more of like what's the certificate for it? It's probably like a 12 or a 15.
Yeah, I believe it's a 12.
If it's a 12, maybe this should have been one of those that should have been the summer blockbuster. But I think it was around, it was, it's, the thing is like this was a heavy promotional campaign. Like it was even at the Oscars, which was back in February, where you had both Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling presenting an award. They when Ryan Gosling was on SNL, Emily was there, so they were very much trying to feature them. And you would have thought that maybe like the two A-list stars from 2023's biggest films, Barbie and Oppenheimer. It looks like Ryan Gosling didn't even do his hair. He went straight from Barbie into Fall Guy because he's still blonde. And you would have thought that it would have, I guess they were kind of hoping for more of that. And something that I did find interesting was Ryan Gosling's wife, Eva Mendes, who, like, with the two of those, they're both very private. Like, they're both like, we're married, we've got kids, and we're really in love. But they don't go to each other's, they don't stand by each other on red carpets, they don't go to events with each other, they keep it very separate. But, she actually did a very rare post about The Fall Guy, and she said, what was it? And maybe it didn't break the box office, but it broke so many other records. I'm extra proud of this one. The proof is in my post. I don't usually post pics of my man kissing a babe, but Emily Blunt is just that damn good in it. They're just that damn good. So I thought that was really interesting, where she was kind of like, well, it didn't even, as his wife being like, well, they should have made more of a box record, but it's like... No. At the end of the maybe, as you said, maybe if they had included the stunt team in the promotional thing, that would have been honestly, now I hadn't thought of that, but now you said it.
Because I think even obviously we've watched interviews and they do talk so highly about it, but the actual advertisement, as in trailer posters, aren't advertising that side of it. And I do think maybe if it did have Guinness World Record of stunts underneath everything, and that was a main promotional push, maybe it would have performed in a different way. I am looking forward to watching it, and obviously, Emily Blunt is.
Let's get it in the diary, Liv.
Yeah, let's go. So the next film that we both have seen was The Idea of You, which came out on May the 2nd on Amazon Prime. It's been quite a talking point. I don't think it's been highly watched, but the people who have watched it have thoughts. It's been going around quite a lot on TikTok, and I actually have watched quite a few YouTube videos of people breaking it down now as well.
How did you guys meet? We need to know the story. We met at Coachella. Hi.
Hi.
This is your trailer?
Yeah, I'm in the band. We're performing on the main stage.
August Moon?
Yeah. I met someone tonight. I feel a little inspired. This one's called Closer.
It stars Nicholas Galazine. I knew I was going to do that. I've actually learned how to say it because Anne Hathaway was saying it's like magazine. So it's Galazine.
What a good surname to have.
Yeah.
Is Galazine in the magazine?
Yeah, magazine Galazine.
Friends and family say that to him.
He reckons he never thought of it until Anne Hathaway said it.
Oh, bullshit.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, so obviously in the other one, Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway was also a producer, which I found quite interesting. She signed on quite early, so it wasn't that she became the actress and then became the producer. She actually became the producer and then ended up giving herself the role, which, iconic. Actually iconic behaviour.
That's really interesting, actually, because I've seen some discourse online saying, Anne Hathaway does these kind of films because it's like 10 million and then she can go on to do the films that she really wants to do. But it sounds from that actually, if she signed on that early, she didn't have to cast herself, but she was like, I want to play this. So
yeah, I really enjoyed the book, and so I honestly do think she really knew how to adapt a novel to the screen. She seemed to have a lot of love when she talks in interviews about it. She knew what areas they needed to change and how to translate areas. And she, in interviews, is absolutely, I want to say she talks gorgeously about it. Like, she has a love affair with this book. She seems so proud of it, and she seems so proud of what they've made and the fact that she produced. I think it's not her first produced film. She's done a few in the past. She seems to have quite a good relationship with Amazon Prime, so I think she might be taking after Reese Witherspoon a little bit with that.
Okay, interesting.
But yeah, so Nicholas and Galazine, I'm just going to call him Nicholas from now on. I have ended up going on about this man quite a bit in my podcast before, because there was one, I think it was not last month, the month before, so like March. He had 2 shows out that I ended up talking about.
Okay.
So he, in the last 4 years, I would say, he was in Cinderella, Black, White and Royal Blue, Mary and George.
I see, I've not watched that. Mary and George, is that the one with Julianne Moore?
Yes, yeah, he's in that. He's great. He's I think he's just not afraid to take the piss out of himself.
I was going to say that sounds like he's like, give me, I'll do it.
Like, is this person gay? I'll do it. Is this person a singer? I'll do it.
Another royal?
How many royals are we doing now?
I mean, that's the thing, even apparently, like, kind of jumping ahead a little bit is something that I was going to mention, but, part of the influence apparently on the character of Hayes in this was partly also on Prince Harry, so maybe there's just something about this actor is just drawn to elements, roles that have elements of royal in them.
Yeah, maybe. But he obviously, I do feel kind of bad for him because of this whole Harry Styles situation.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that I mean, obviously, like, the character is based on Harry Styles, but the author has actually said, I wish I'd never mentioned Harry Styles, because it's very understandably kind of being like a bit latched onto that. It's like, but then I guess you can see, like, when you watch the film, like, oh, you're British now, and you've got similar tattoos, you dress the kind of similar, you've got that wanted to be taken seriously, and then, obviously we know that, I think we can all agree that Harry's got the most successful post-boy band career, and it's just you kind of get the impression that's what's happening with Hayes as well, but they're
definitely also leaning into this August Moon kind of One Direction So August Moon is the band in the show that Hayes is a part of, and August Moon has been going mental on TikTok. They've even made their own Instagram, own TikTok, own Twitter, obviously X now, and they are like selling it, like somehow marketing it like it's a real band. I've been listening to the music quite a bit. I can't stop. Some of the songs, they were in my head permanently for a while, so they've ended up on my May playlist. So I really enjoyed that part of it. I've said that the style of the filming I found a bit choppy in places. I think it was so YA that it felt cheesy, coming of age with these stills and montages, and it doesn't really feel cinematic. But it didn't need to be. So I know that's me being quite critical, because it doesn't need to be cinematic. It was just a story about two people falling in love, kind of. So if the listener does not know what it was the idea of you was about an older woman falling for a member of a boy band at Coachella, and they end up in a relationship. That's pretty much the gist of it. He's in his 20s, she's in her 40s. She's got a younger kid. That's one of the bits that they've changed, apparently. Apparently the kid's much younger in the novel.
That was an interesting choice. I did read about that, and so much is being made about like the age gap, and it's it's again that kind of thing, isn't it? That in TV and films, in media in general, like age gaps between usually if it's reverse, it wouldn't be batting an eyelid, and I guess like it just mention that in the film itself, and it does help that Anne Hathaway is just so strikingly beautiful. As well.
She is. She's absolutely stunning. I say, I found that at parts of it that she was too perfect, and I don't know if that was just me.
I don't feel like she was really playing anyone. I think she was just playing Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, but I found it a bit annoying in places. There's like bits where she's eating a sandwich and she does it in the most dignified, perfect way that I found it kind of annoying to watch, because it didn't feel real, and in a way I was a bit like it made the chemistry between them feel so fake, just because she wasn't real. This was not authentic. It wasn't him falling in love with her little quirks of
falling over.
Not that we need that. This isn't Edward and Bella. But yeah, that was like, I can't explain it. There was something about her performance in this that I just didn't enjoy, but I also really enjoy staring at her.
Yeah, I know what you mean. She was definitely a vision to look at in this film, like her hair, like her dress sense, it was, I know what you mean. I definitely enjoyed looking at her a lot as well. And I feel like it kind of, you can kind of see that this, like, I don't know, rom-coms never really go away, but like a certain standard of rom-coms is definitely almost in a revival, and Anne Hathaway has definitely got enough of those under her belt, these rom-coms.
Oh, she's just amazing.
Yeah, and I did feel like the plot kind of like does kind of remind me of elements of Notting Hill, with a little bit with like exploring the fantasy of meeting a famous person and falling in love, and there wasn't like any like particular, like you could see there's a nod to Notting Hill there, but definitely that concept, there was some similarities. Like I guess like when she opens up her phone, whereas like before in Notting Hill it's not quite that, it's 25 years ago, Notting Hill.
God.
I know, crazy. I saw that being shared like just a few weeks ago. It's like Notting Hill is 25 years old. Oh my goodness.
Do you know, just a random throw-in, Pride is on its 15th. Oh no, it's 15th anniversary or 10th anniversary. Maybe it's 10th.
No.
Because I did a thing about it the other day, and I was
Pride's one of my, I have to say.
Yeah, Pride because it's 2014, 10 years.
Oh, that's better than 15.
Yeah,
I actually took my mum to cinema to see it when she came down to see me when I lived in London, and it was one of those at the end the cinema clapped because it was such a. I know, and it's one of those that I make everyone watch. It's such a great one.
I think it's because I got it wrong because it's actually 40 years since the actual events happened.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realise that they released the film Pride on the anniversary.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, going back to the idea of you. We both, and I kind of going back to the Harry Styles thing, I do think they did Nicholas very dirty one with the time jump. I don't know if they were trying to make it look like Harry with his little stubble, but I also just want to be like, is Harry Styles okay? Because there's so many fanfiction films about him. Obviously, the After series is a really big one. Awful. Never watched that film. I've watched the first film. I I did read them when they first came out. I mean, I read the first 3 on Wattpad, when they first came out. So I read them so it was like it wasn't Hayes, it was Harry Styles.
See, I will say that I've not come across any of these before, but I can imagine. I think it's quite a number now of things that are either based on him or inspired by, and it's I mean, that's got to be a lot.
But it's one of them. Would this have happened if people were able to do this about Elvis?
Well, that's I mean,
I think it's just who he is. I think I think he probably can let it slide off him kind of easy. He's 30 now.
Yeah. But that's a really good point. This, where this stuff happened with Elvis, with the Beatles, stuff like that. Yes, and yes, it would have done.
There's quite a few other films that I've not made any comments on because I haven't seen them, but I also haven't seen them perform well, perform badly, anything like this. So Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes came out this month, which is one of many of the films that I can't keep up with. I don't enjoy the original films.
I do enjoy the original. I feel like it's a nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
I remember watching them on rainy Saturday afternoons with my mum.
Yeah.
But not when I think I've seen 1 or 2 because I couldn't tell you how many films.
I've seen the first 2 of the newest.
I think I saw the second newest one. We
have no facts right now.
I've seen one of them at the cinema. It was good.
It was alright.
It was the one after James Franco. There you go.
It kind of reminded me of these Godzilla films that are coming out though, and the King Kong. You're just where are who is watching all these films?
I know.
We also had If come out, which again, not really seen anything. People saying it was good. That's where we're at. Tarot, which is in the same lines as The Invitation or even Megan in a way. It's the female director horror film about and I think it's played on this witchy revival that's around at the moment. So people playing tarots and then things go wrong. Horde, which has come out at Cannes Film Festival, has kind of blown up a bit just because it's got Joseph Quinn in it.
Yes,
but it's quite a limited run. But the other film that came out on the 24th of May was Furiosa, which is in the trilogy saga of the Mad Max films. Still the same director who's done all of them, so George Miller. Warner Brothers, starring Chris Hemsworth and Anna Taylor-Joy.
Again, I've actually not watched any of the Mad Max saga. I've heard that apparently the Fury Road was very well received, and from what I've seen about this one, the reviews are people are happy with it. If you're fans, go and see it. It's not one for me, but I think what I like seeing about it is just another film that's got Anya Taylor-Joy in. She's an actress that I'm particularly fond of, and I think she's one of those that I think has got quite an old school star power. You can see she's kind of a little bit old Hollywood, but also very 21st century Hollywood.
Yeah, she keeps herself quite private as well, and I think she's got quite a nice persona on her. I have been seeing a lot of her red carpet outfit. She's so good at a good outfit.
She is a look queen.
She's just such I think because she's so unique looking, she's able to really lean into the modelness of outfits.
But there's also some playfulness in a lot of the the poses that she's performing and that kind of thing. She's one that I'm definitely attracted to films that have got her. She's a star that I'm I'm actually quite a big fan of her, I think. I think I need to see more. I actually haven't seen everything that she's been in. No. Probably seen a handful of them. I think my favourite that I've seen her in was probably Last Night in Soho.
Oh yeah, she is really good at that.
She's fantastic in that. But she's one of those that I'm just it's good to see her. I guess this is a proper, Furiosa is a proper action film, and she's one of the main stars. So I'm always going to be interested in what she's up to. But is she going to get? Is at one point is she an actress that's going to kind of go for that in the award campaign? What will she decide to do?
I do think this film, Mad Max, the Tom Hardy one, did so well, and it was so loved. I really enjoyed that film. I've watched it quite a few times. I think it's a classic piece of cinematography as well. It's the way it's been sculptured, and I find it so interesting comparing it to the original ones in the 80s. But this film, I do feel it just suddenly appeared. Like I remember suddenly going into the cinema and there was just a poster of it, and I don't remember ever hearing about it being commissioned, it filming. It suddenly just was like advertised, and I found that quite weird because usually I'm so, especially with like Warner Brothers, I usually know what's going on. And there was always a rumor that Tom Hardy was going to come back. So I don't know if that's kind of why they ended up doing a bit of a prequel, because they wanted to end up doing another one because they still had the rights.
Okay,
So,
that's interesting.
yeah.
Another thing that I felt that with this campaign, with the press campaign for this one, is they're very much like Chris Hemsworth and Anya Taylor-Joy and how well they got on. And I feel like that's making sure people are aware that it's not the same situation that happened with Fury Road with Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy, who obviously famously did not get on during film, and it has felt like with what I've seen of this press journey is that they're very much like, we actually got on really well. I did find that interesting, the comparison of making it very clear you will not find any drama within how this film was created. Behind the scenes, we all got on well. Focus on the film that we have not advertised very well.
Do not talk about drama. Okay, so now we are kind of breaking into our gossip, TV film buzz section. So we'll talk about a few bits here. We'll talk a few bits at the end. Have you been seeing the thing about Romeo and Juliet?
No. Please go on.
I don't know why I wanted to have a little chat about it, but it's actually amazed me. So there's a guy called Jamie Lloyd who's massive on West End. He did Sunset Boulevard. He did a few other things before that. He's really built up his directorial backlog. I don't know. I love theatre, but I'm not that good at theatre talk. Anyway, so he's brought Romeo and Juliet to the West End. Tom Holland is our main guy. I have
seen about this.
Yeah, so they sold out within like 10 minutes. I tried to get tickets and I couldn't. They sold out instantly. And then kind of a month or so later, it was announced that Broadway was also doing a version of Romeo and Juliet. But this was a completely different lot of people.
Oh, so not by Jamie Lloyd, not with Tom Holland.
No, completely new people.
Right, there's not any other Shakespeare plays.
No. The Broadway version has Kit Connor and Rachel Segler as Romeo and Juliet. Also, like, both names are obviously semi-big. I think together they make an A-lister, I don't know.
Yeah, B plus a B.
B plus a B. Rachel Segler is obviously, she's amazing. This is her first take. I think this is her first Broadway show, but she is a Broadway girl. Because she obviously went to drama school. She's known on YouTube quite a lot, and then she got the role of Maria in West Side Story.
Well, this is what I was thinking. I mean, if you haven't played Juliet before, but you've played Maria, I mean, that's got to be. I've got to say, that's going to have to be an amazing experience for Rachel, because she's going to be she's going to be very attuned to this very much like kind of heartbreak and tragic love story that's very much the overtones of both. So that's good. That's good casting. I will say that is casting. Even though I don't see the need for a West End and two different versions in West End and Broadway, I can definitely get on board with Rachel being cast.
There actually is 2 other versions in the West End right now.
Again, are there not any?
There's one in the Globe. There's a summertime one going on in the Globe, and then there is the ballet tour from the Northern Ballet happening at the same time. Yeah. So it's Romeo and Juliet is everywhere at the moment, and I just thought it was quite interesting that we have these 2. So one, and then and the other version is music by Jack Antonoff and directed by Sam Gold. So the Broadway one is going to be so interesting, because I don't really know what it is. Why is there suddenly music? Is it Shakespearean Romeo and Juliet? Is it not Shakespeare? I don't really know. There's not really anything.
It's like, I mean, I always feel like with Romeo and Juliet, when you see William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet film, what do you think of? You think of the Baz Luhrmann version, and it'd be interesting to see. I'm glad that you've mentioned these ones, because like I said, I have seen about the West End one, pictures of Tom Holland going in at, and that Zendaya was there at the a premiere, or
but the Tom Holland one is actually getting there's 2 sides of this coin right now. First thing, there is too much racism happening around the casting, and it's actually disgusting. Like, it's actually just like, you've at the end of the day, Tom Holland, yeah, he's a big name, but every single other cast member is just a West End actress,
which
or
is fantastic. Which is what you want. It shouldn't just be celebrity castings. Tom Holland, I know he's got his, back. Like, he's got like a background in like wasn't he? He
was in Billy Elliot.
Yeah. Okay, but there you go. Like, I do feel like there should be. Okay, like I said, Tom Holland's in Romeo and Juliet, so I'm part of that issue as well, of like recognising celebrity culture, but also the fact, like you said, that it's a very much established cast of West End performers. That should be enough, and there should be no space for racism in any field. And it's really disappointing.
Yeah, and I think I feel so sorry for the girl who's played Juliet, because she seemed like such an amazing actress, and she's just. I've seen some disgusting things online said about her, and it's not okay. But to then flip it, there has actually also been negative reviews, because the reviews are not the greatest. I've seen a lot of 2 out of 5 stars. It's saying that it's quite a boring take on Romeo and Juliet. It's not doing anything new. Jamie Lloyd seems to just be doing the same things he did with Sunset Boulevard, but Sunset Boulevard is about a film actress, so recording and having cameramen on stage worked, but doing it for Romeo and Juliet apparently hasn't added anything to it, and it's also bits of it are like a rap battle, and a lot of it's whispered.
Well, then it sounds. I mean, that's very contradictory things that are coming out. People saying it's not doing anything new, and then people saying they don't like what's being done.
Apparently, it's just too bland. Like, it's just. There's no substance. Everything is black, so like the whole backstage is black. The outfits were all black, so there's nothing depth. There's no depth to look at. It's so stripped back, and that's what Jamie Lloyd is known for in his directing.
Well, that's the thing. If it's like it sounds like you're very much going to see Romeo and Juliet directed by this specific vision.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, like, if you had to go and see Romeo and Juliet directed by Tarantino, you'd have a vision of. I mean, I would see that. I would see that so much as well. But do you know what I mean? You kind of want to be like, I've seen the latest Jamie Lloyd. Yeah. It was a Romeo and Juliet. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe because there's so much pre-sold fascination with Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. Too many people have been, I know weirdly we just said it, but too many people have been comparing the casting of Romeo and Juliet in this West End version to the 90s Baz Luhrmann with Leonardo, where it's like, this is a West End show that I've personally seen Romeo and Juliet about 3 different times now, all different. Like, I've seen it at the Globe, I've seen the ballet, like
amazing.
And everyone has different tastes. That's the beauty of Shakespeare. Like, Shakespeare, you can put it in loads of different time settings. You can change it up and take bits out and, update it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
great.
The Met Gala was a thing this month.
See, I will confess, Liv, that I am one of those. I do get very excited by the Met Gala. It's only been like the last 5 years, I think, where I've started, very much looking forward to the 4th Monday in May, which I will say was an excellent documentary. It used to be on Netflix, but I kept recommending it to people, and now it's been taken off. But if you could ever track it down, it's a really interesting look into the behind the scenes, and explains a lot about the Met Gala that I think a lot of people aren't aware of. Like, it's not just a big fancy gala. Like, it is to raise money for the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And I mean, the thing with this year is, I felt like there was some fun. You could tell it was missing a lot of the big names. Yeah. Where was Rihanna? Where was Harry Styles? Where was Timothée Chalamet? Where was Blake Lively? But on the other hand, you have people like Zendaya. Both Zendaya's outfits were absolutely sickening. And there were some really interesting looks. And as well with the Met Gala, I find as well is that it's only been when you go back and look at there was a Met Gala in the 90s where Stella McCartney and Liv Tyler turned up, and they've got customized t-shirts they made on the day, like Daddy's Girl, or like not quite Daddy's Girl, like basically alluding to the fact that both their dads are rock stars, and it wasn't always that kind of thing. And this idea where people like myself, I have sometimes got annoyed. Oh, well, they're not adhering to the theme. Yeah, there was nothing to say that you have to dress to the theme to attend the Met Gala. I mean, having said that, I would like everyone to, but it's not a given. It's not like we shouldn't really be disappointed that it's not happening. It's just something that's quite nice to see, but it's definitely stepped up a gear in the last like 10 years of the costumes. But
oh yeah, it's like a big thing. I actually really enjoyed this year. I think because of the theme was quite simple in a way. A lot of people hit the theme because what was it completely? It was something to do with garden.
So the thing with this one is it was actually the actual theme on the red carpet was, so it was a bit different. So with this one, so the year's theme was Sleeping Beauties, Reawakening Fashion. But the event dress code was the Garden of Time. So having said that, so there is now a bit more of an expectation about the dress code, but like I said, but you don't have to do it. It's more of like you can, if you want to, this is what it is. But I think that, you know, with the Garden of Time, I have to say one of my favourites was Lana Del Rey. I felt like she was
gorgeous,
an absolute vision. There you go. I mean, she was definitely a highlight for me for sure.
I think a lot of them fed into doing a lot of dramatic makeup, dramatic hair.
Good, do it.
Yeah,
like,
that's what we want. This is art. I think that's what a lot of people miss about the Met Gala. It's fashion. It's art. Like, it's expressing yourself. But I do feel like this year, especially this year, I did stay up a little later and waited for a few of them to come through. And then same as you, I woke up and then went straight into looking at all the looks. And then at the same time, we see there's a lot going on in the world that does make me feel a little bit Hunger Gamesy, like I'm part of the Capitol, like watching this happen when another part of the world is.
Yeah, I completely agree. And even though, you know, Met Gala, as I said, Met Gala is something that, as a pop culture enthusiast, it's definitely a date in the calendar to have a look at this art, you know. But having said that, you know, it did feel very much like what was like Hunger Games was with the fantastic costumes of the Capitol, and then what's going on with the current wars at the moment. So it was, you know, and I think the fact as well that you didn't have anyone making any political statements, which we do see sometimes at the Met Gala, where we've had AOC wearing that dress a few years ago, tax the rich. We've even had Cara Delevingne a few years ago doing something about I might have just literally been fuck the patriarchy, but if not, it was something similar to that. But there wasn't anything. I think maybe there was a couple of pins. There was a couple of pins,
which SNL then took the piss out of. Because they're like, we're a political pin.
But also but then I guess it's, you know, this is the thing, isn't it? It's where it, you know, it's like wearing a pin is more than what some people did, and is it performative? Is it better than not doing anything?
Yeah.
You know, is it that, you know, it's a very complicated thing, and I did feel, you know, as I said, I am someone who I do really enjoy watching the Met Gala coverage because I do have a very amateur interest in fashion, which only started once I actually got to go see the Alexander McQueen Savage Beauty exhibition at the V&A about 7 years ago. 7-8 years ago. And I was
stuff like that.
I was like I got to go on the last weekend as well. It was different enjoying it this year, and I felt like what I've been trying to do this year for myself is trying to book off the day, or I think with this one it was actually bank holiday, so I can stay up and watch all of it. But I felt like I didn't want to do that this year because it was, you know, like you said, there's so much stuff going on in the world at the moment. It's tricky.
It's one of them that I think it's just pointing out that we are aware of that, and we know we're privileged right now. We are, and ceasefire now.
Ceasefire.
Do you know how much I love Pedro Pascal?
I mean, I don't, but I can't say I'm surprised.
I am obsessed with this man. I have a cup that I use daily that says, "Is it his cup? Daddy is a state of mind."
Oh my God. I mean, the thing is with Pedro, like he is the internet. He's the internet's daddy.
He is the internet's daddy. He's a zaddy. I just love him. I love his personality. I love everything about him. I think if I ever worked with him...
Are you blushing now, Liv?
I love him so much. I actually think if I ever worked with him, I'm just calling myself silent. If I ever worked with him, I think it would be one of those situations where... Because I always said there's one actor I could never ever work with, and that's Sebastian Stan. Because I know for a fact that I would not be able to function in front of that man. So, Pedro Pascal on the other end, I think
I'd be fully functioning.
I would be going up to him, being like, "Do you need a coffee? Do you need a cup of tea? Do you need sugar baby?" I don't know. Anyway, but he's been seen quite a bit this month. He's been seen in The Last of Us first still photos, but also on the set of Last of Us, and then he's now on but yeah, he's also been seen on the Materialistics set photos, which has Chris Evans and Dakota Johnson in it, which is going to be a rom-com, which is going to be so interesting to see, because them three alone.
As you know, Liv, I do tend to send you a lot of things that I see on Instagram related to film and TV, and I will now start sending you anything I see Pedro Pascal.
I know. I'm going to keep blushing because we're going to go on about Bridgerton now.
Dearest gentle reader, we have been apart for far too long.
So straight onto TV, right? This is everything that, not everything that's come out this month, but the things that we want to talk about, basically. So Bridgerton Part 1 came out on May the 16th, and I did make the whole day just about Bridgerton.
Excellent.
I'm not even joking. I watched it twice.
I love that.
One day.
There's only 4 episodes, isn't it?
Only 4 episodes. So they're about an hour each. That's 4 hours. So I watched 8 hours of Bridgerton in one day.
I watched it. I'm going to watch it again.
I literally got up. I'm not even joking. I got up at 8 a.m. to watch it the second it came out.
Love that. I'd done that before.
I then had to come and I had to do a presentation that I couldn't get out of. So I had to go and do a presentation. Came home and then my mum was like, "Well, I'm going to watch it." So I was like, "Let's go. Let's watch it again." I absolutely love it. Like I can't explain my love for Bridgerton. I just it's so fantasy, and there are, like, I re-watched the first series recently, and I actually think the second series was so good it actually makes the first series look worse.
Interesting.
I found that anyway. But this series is obviously about friends to lovers. Penelope and Colin. I'm going to keep blushing now. Colin actually is probably the worst love interest. He is blind to Penny, and it's actually so annoying. I don't really like his glow up. They've made him look like he's had Botox. It's not the greatest, but at the same time, I have watched that last 15 minutes of If You Know, You Know.
Is this the carriage scene?
Yeah.
I've heard about the carriage scene. So I will say that I've actually not watched any Bridgerton apart from TikTok clips. I'm just not because I really respect it as a show, but I'm just not a fan of period dramas, except for Carrie. But I am aware that there is the last 15 minutes of carriage scene. So maybe that's, but it's. I'm not even joking. I've literally watched that 5 times. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I have considered trying to watch all of Bridgerton just to watch that carriage scene. Like,
it was just obviously people cannot see me; they can only hear my voice. As a curvy girl, it was so amazing to witness this, like, sexual tension and the absolute beauty of her body. It sounds so weird, but and I think that's what got so many people, have been saying that they can't keep they have to keep rewatching it, because it's just this.
That's amazing.
Like, it's just so amazing to see such a curvy girl in this, like, heroine love story, and she is the main character.
Because I've seen, cause I'm a big Nicola Coughlan fan, and I'm very pleased to see that she's getting these starring roles and the spotlight she deserves. I think she's a hell of a woman. She's the voice for the right reason. She's hilarious. She dresses so well. She's such a look person as well. But I remember seeing something, a part of an interview, some clip where she said, they said, "Oh, you don't have to." She was like, "No, I want to do the nudity. She's like, I want to look back and be like, that's how gorgeous I look."
Yeah. It is going to be. There has been some leaks coming out for part 2, which is obviously next month, a few weeks away now. I don't know how sexual how much of her body we're gonna see going forward. The carriage scene, we didn't really see much. It was just a very passionate kiss, a couple at her shoulder, which is scandalous for them, and her ankle.
Oh, okay. All right.
We hardly see.
Oh, interesting.
We've hardly seen. That sounds really bad. Can't wait.
I'm just thinking, like, if she's gone coming out saying, like, there's going to be nudity and we haven't seen it, and that's because I think I need to watch the bloody carriage scene.
Yeah, so, like, the carriage scene is a lovely 15 minutes of him groveling. Please, I love you. Like, please take me in. And she's just like, we're friends, Colin. We're friends. And then she goes, I'd like to be more than friends. Amazing. Oh my God. And it's so, like, Oh, it's gorgeous, and it's the way that they both realise they're on the same page. And this girl has been, obviously the novel is much more in depth, but she's loved this man for a very long time, and she's a spinster. I love it.
Right. No, well, I feel like this has inspired me to try and find the time to. But this is the thing with Bridgerton now is 3 seasons. It's a lot of episodes to get through.
It's so easy to do. I honestly have rewatched series 1 and 2 so many times. I've rewatched it this year, and then I have rewatched it in the last week. So that's how often I read it.
Okay. I feel like maybe I'm inspired to actually give it a go.
So on May the 2nd, on Sky Atlantic, The Tattooist of Auschwitz came out. All parts came out. I don't know how to say this in the best way. And I know I'm not the only one, because a lot of the reviews have given it a really bad rating. But I found it such an awful show. I mean, it was so bad. And I know it's a highly loved book.
That's the thing. Like I will say now, listeners, that I've not watched this. I've also not read the book. The book is, I'm one of those, I'm a literature gal, and I have hundreds of books, and I have a very long list of books that I want to get to join the books that I need to read that are already on my bookcase. This is one of them. And I know this is a very precious book to a lot of people, because it's very emotional, it's very well written. So that's really disappointing. It must be really disappointing if you're a fan of this book, to feel so disappointed in it.
A lot of people who I know who've read it said it is a gorgeous book, and even the book is controversial in itself. I will just quickly lay it out. So the writer talked. It's a real story. Like she talked to Lally, who's the real guy in it. She talked to him, and she was like kind of his carer for a little while, and then it took her many years to write the story, and it took her even longer to publish it. So therefore, it's a weird mix of fiction and non-fiction, because she has made it into quite a love story, which obviously could happen in Auschwitz, but also Auschwitz is such a topic where it's like, these people were dying on the daily. Like they were getting starved. They were getting worked to the brim. It's a disgusting situation that happened in humanity. So she leaned into the romance of it so much that some people have said that she has kind of taken advantage of this real man's story.
Okay.
And I do think that the TV show has even leaned into that more.
Okay.
That it feels... So people who have compared it had said, like, in the book it's very, like, little looks, little favours. In the show, on the other hand, it feels like, how are these two people falling in love by one look, and they're constantly trying to get to each other, and it feels wrong. And there's, like, even a sex scene and I was just like, this is just the most disturbing thing I think I've ever watched. Like, it felt icky. Like, you're just like, they are trying to survive on the daily, and I can understand how that can drive you into a love situation, but it felt so distasteful and disrespectful. My biggest pet peeve that I remember The Guardian gave it 1 out of 5 stars, and they said similar, was Joa, don't know how to say his last name, Joanna King, who played Eric in Little Mermaid. He does kind of like this American British accent the whole way through, where the guy who plays him is an older version, has like a Polish accent.
Look, that kind of detail when it's like having like a story told over time, where there's a younger version and an older version, and inconsistencies. It's just something that I just think is such a it's just such disappointing lack of detail, and I think it's really sloppy.
Really sloppy.
It's so sloppy, and then it's like, if you can't take that small detail seriously, then how are we supposed to take your efforts, like believe that you've really tried to make a decent television show?
It was every single other character had a German, Polish accent. He stood out like a sore thumb, because he had this British American accent. It was so weird. So therefore it kind of felt dubbed in places, and I think that brought you out of the story so much. But his presence was all wrong. This is me just dissing his acting. I just do not think he was the right choice. He it's tiny things. He holds his head up too much and he smiles too much.
Oh my God.
I'm like, you're in Auschwitz. Like, you are not meant to be happy to be here.
Yeah. Oh God.
Anyway, if you didn't know, he becomes the tattooist. And like I said, it's a true story. And these people, these were like 20% of people who went into these concentration camps were held on to work, and they became part of the labour. And obviously that's what happens to him and his eventual wife. And he ends up trying to keep her alive through doing that. But no, I just found it very, very disrespectful, the whole premise of it. Episode 4 was literally the best episode, and I do think it was because he wasn't in it. And it was mostly about the women, and I really fell in love with these core women and how they helped each other survive. And there's some really cool in that one episode, some really emotional moments. I did say earlier on that Guardian gave it 1 out of 5. That I was wrong, it was 2 out of 5. But they commented on how the Holocaust cannot be entertainment, and I think that's where this was. Like, it was trying to be this weird love story entertainment, and it just didn't. It didn't work.
This is the thing with anything, there's a long list that we wouldn't be able to list off now of television and film that's inspired by the tragedies that happened to the Holocaust. But Holocaust cannot be entertainment. No. It has to be, here's what happened, here's stories, or inspired by. It cannot be entertainment. It's a real shame that it's been such a bad adaptation, and I think especially when it's just not what you want.
I think especially because we've just had like the zone of interest in the last in the BAFTA Oscar realm, which did such a new take on that story. Then we had this where, for example, there was the cinematography was so weird, because there's these moments where, because he's telling the story to the woman who writes the book, and every time he kind of talks about someone, it will then get this really weird, quite close-up shot of the person just staring into the lens in this blank face. And I think it was meant to kind of symbolise these other ghosts of this man. But it did not work. It did not. It felt wrong. That for me, it would have worked so much better if it was a long shot of these people doing a weird turn around to stare at him. Because I think it would have made them feel like they're just in the back of his mind. They're just in the distance. They're always just there. But the close up was just such a. It kind of broke you away from the story so often that it just didn't work for me. Anyway,
sounds like it didn't work for a lot of people.
Didn't work for a lot of people. It definitely didn't get the best reviews. It is a big shame. I don't think it had the best production and directorial team behind it. If we're going to keep slamming on TV shows, I'm going to go to Doctor Who. I don't know how you're feeling about Doctor Who. I'm
interesting. This might be the first time.
I'm a big Doctor Who fan.
Okay.
Hardcore since I was a child. I am so disappointed in this new series.
That's really interesting, because so with my sister kind of how you're a massive Doctor Who fan. I'm someone it's something that I've got a younger cousin who is, and his dad, who's my first cousin, lifelong Doctor Who fans. I actually I was speaking to my cousin Ryan, and on Instagram, and I was like, how did you find it? He was like, I really like them. And I was like, okay, interesting. I've watched the first 2 episodes, and I will be continuing to watch more. But I'm, you said that if you're a really big fan, you're not happy with these at all?
No, and I know I'm probably, the discourse of people that I talk to online and the TikToks and Instagrams I see are mostly agreeing with me, but I know that's my algorithm. And who I
do feel to. This. I'm not saying this against yourself at all, but there is a fan. I would say it's a fandom. Doctor Who doesn't fan a lot of Doctor Who fandom doesn't seem to like Doctor Who a lot of the time. It does seem to, and I reminisce. But obviously, as I'm not directly in that fandom, so I'm definitely not criticising. Everyone's opinions are valid, and I guess that's interesting. We're coming at this too. But I also, like I said, I've watched the first 2 episodes. I've not raced on a Saturday night to watch the rest of it. I will be. So
I felt the Doctor doesn't feel like the Doctor anymore, and I think that's the bit that has hurt me the most, just because the Doctor has always been this fierce protector of the Earth and the universe, and just sticking with them 2 first episodes, he was scared of their monsters, both of them. And I think that was so weird. It didn't fill me with confidence, and the jokes don't land. Also, why has he got a new outfit every single episode? That's not what the Doctor does. The Doctor has one outfit pretty much the whole series. So my notes are actually really funny after it. What in the mother bloody hell was that? Why is the Doctor now a children's show and not a family show? Also, why is the Doctor afraid of this? Why is this now a musical? Why is this poorly written by the same man who wrote the most iconic episodes of the 2000s? Why have they ruined Doctor Who? Where is the grit? Where's the adventure? Why is this so political in my face? Russell T Davies, I need answers.
I mean, that's hilarious, I have to say. And I think that's so interesting, like, in comparison to, I mean, because, like, my kind of view on these kind of things is like, well, I kind of, and like I said, I've only watched the first two, so I don't know how wrong I am. I have to believe that this is all these things, like, with so much breaking the fourth wall, the musicals. Yeah. Surely it's got there's a point to it. Yeah. It's not being done accidental.
No, I believe, because there's this whole thing about...
it's got to be...
what's her name? Sally something. So there's one extra who's literally been in every episode so far. And so it's like, how is this... So she's definitely going to come into it, and I think there's a whole thing about Ruby and who's Ruby's parents.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think especially when it's like, Ruby, you must never go and find your mother. Yeah. Well, I look forward to when Ruby goes to find her real mother.
What's going to happen? But I think especially when this is by the same man who wrote The Bad Wolf Twist, was so... The Bad Wolf Twist in the series 1... It was staring in our face, but no one cottoned on until the final episode. And I think that's the issue. These are too in your face. You're like, well, this is going to be a twist.
Well, I guess it also, what you have to remember is that this is like one of the notes I put was, hello, Disney budget with the special effects. Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe is there a slight Disneyfication of it? But I think that... It's definitely, I mean, because I think what it is as well, isn't it? Is season 1. It's like, is this a reboot of it? You know, and I think that, you know, when that introduction of when he's explaining all things TARDIS and Gallifrey to Ruby, no, you're telling the audience that's never watched Doctor Who. But also, it's like, well, that's fine because, you know, it's good. It shouldn't be gatekeeping and to people that don't understand. But I think it is, you know, I mean. I will say that as far as like, it does seem to be a bit of the musical stuff. I have to think that it must all be linked to like, I like to think this is all going to pay off to be like a really big reason why this has been happening. But I will say there is nothing scarier in this world than a fucking talking baby, and I found that very petrifying.
Oh, the baby episode was so weird.
I will say, like, with the second episode though,
I did enjoy the second episode more than the first episode.
So I am I don't know, I'm a Drag Race fan, or I'm an old school Drag Race fan. I haven't actually watched any new seasons. I haven't got the capacity to learn about new queens. I can watch. I actually need to watch new All Stars anyway. Yeah. Jinx Monsoon. I felt like they absolutely slayed it as a villain, and how I kind of felt like how they were as Maestro.
Maestro was a great villain.
Oh, a great villain. I felt like if so camp, and it was like a combination of Winnie from Hocus Pocus crossed with Pennywise and Ursula, and that was the greatest mix-up ever. But it was though. I stand by that. I was like, and I thought Jinx was fantastic, and it was. Wouldn't be upset to see them again.
I have a feeling they're coming back.
Yeah. So do we think, I mean, like, is this all connected to the Toymaker? Are we going to see the Toymaker again? Is this what the mischief that's being caused, like, because was the Doctor being scared with these so much breaking the fourth wall, with these musical numbers? It's like, it's all being bent out. I really hope that I'm defending Doctor Who not as a Whovian,
and I'm a Whovian. I'm like, I'm done with this.
But I'm like, but if they don't, I have to believe that all the reason this stuff is happening is because it's going to be for a big plot payoff. If it's not, then I will also sit here with my arms folded, being like, I'm done.
I think I don't really mind that it's all going to be a payoff. I just don't feel like the individual stories are as good as they used to be. I watched all the way to pretty much the end of Matt Smith, and then that's kind of a lie. The last series of Matt Smith, I kind of fell out of it. Didn't watch Peter's version of the Doctor. I started watching again for Jodie, and Jodie absolutely, like, she was great. Writing let me down.
This is what I've heard. Actually, that was when my cousin Ryan and his dad didn't watch it with Jodie, and they've been, like I said, like when I say lifelong Doctor Who fans, like honestly, But what do you think of Gutti as the Doctor? Is it not? I think it's a great casting.
I'm in the middle again. It's the same way I felt with Jodie. Like, I think Jodie was great, but I think the writing let her down. And I think this is the same here.
Okay, how much of the new season have you watched?
I've only watched the first 2 episodes.
Okay, interesting.
I couldn't get past it.
Are you going to watch the rest of them?
I am.
Okay, well,
I am going to keep going.
I'll tell you what, we'll keep in touch about this one. Maybe we'll have a watch along.
Maybe. We'll have a reconvene of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next show that came out on May the 20th on ITVX was Orphan Black Echoes, which is quite a late release. It actually came out in last year in America and Canada. It's only just reached the UK.
That's interesting. I always feel like with TV shows, you kind of expect them to be universally released at the same time.
Yeah, I'm noticing it more, actually. I'm noticing, especially with ITVX, I think we've got less... Because Orphan Black used to be BBC, and BBC have let go of so much of their stuff. So Orphan Black Echoes, I was quite looking forward to watching it. I started watching it, and I couldn't get through it. It was really boring. That's where we're at. I ended up rewatching Orphan Black, like for a few episodes.
See, again, it's one of those I've not watched, but I'm disappointed for you that it would feel that it was just like, honestly, it's boring.
I was bored. Orphan Black, though, was in when I rewatched, because I rewatched a few episodes, and my mum, who I currently live with, ended up watching a bit with me as well. This series was when BBC was kind of at its height. We had BBC America just started. So much of it is actually filmed in America, but the main characters are English. And it's BBC money, but it's also American money. It's this weird mishmash, and it's sci-fi. And there's one girl who basically plays like all the characters. And it's so fast-paced, and there's so much mystery behind it that you're constantly trying to find out what's going on next. But the Orphan Black Echoes was just one character, and we're following this one character the whole way through, and it was just so boring. It was just, I didn't really care. That's where we got. I just didn't care about this character. So I gave up after 2 episodes. So I don't know if that, I haven't seen anything positive. I haven't seen fan outcries, anything like that. Do you want to shake it up and go on about the Kardashians?
Yes.
Yeah?
Okay.
So the Kardashians obviously started up again on May the 23rd, was it?
Yeah.
On Disney Plus here in the UK. Because is it Hulu?
It's Hulu. Yeah, it's Hulu. So this was season 5 of the Hulu Disney era, which is technically the 25th season, which is crazy. And so like a bit of a thing with my... journey with the Kardashians is it was always a show that I was very proud to go, I've never watched a single episode, and then I like Blink-182, and when I saw that Travis was dating one of them, Courtney, I was like, oh, interesting. And I was like, I'll just follow her. Well, then 3 months later, I followed all of them, and I was going back from season 10 and watching them all. So I haven't watched it for season 1 to 10, and I listened to another podcast from this account called Comment by Celebs, and they're two. I adore them, and they're such huge Kardashian fans, and they really. So I feel like that has rubbed off on my enjoyment, and it has really become a very I'm more vocal about it now, but a very quiet, guilty pleasure that I am quite embarrassed about, but also having said that, I was very excited to see season 5. The thing is with this new this era of the Kardashians, it's more of it's much more of a slick documentary, and it's kind of it's interesting for the fans really, because you're getting the insight into things that happened like even 6 months ago, as opposed to like the immediacy that you often get with reality TV. Like you'd be like, oh, that was 2 weeks ago. Whereas like we looked like the last week's premiere episode was a lot of focus on Paris Fashion Week, where Kendall was on the runway for Victoria Beckham, and it was behind the scenes of there was a massive traffic jam, so Chris and Kim were late, but it was like kind of, but the thing is but that was last year, and I think that unless you're a fan, you're not really going to care. I mean, because you're watching that and you're like, that this is where apparently Kylie and Timothy first got together. It was at this fashion show. There's no indication of that at all. Yeah,
and that feels
but it's old news now. That's what I mean. But it's. I feel like this season is really for like if you're a fan, you want to know like the behind the scenes, and because they're very much breaking the fourth wall, and they will directly address the cameras, and they say, you know, when they were in that traffic jam, for instance, where Kim goes, well, they're all going to love this, aren't they? Because they're all going to say that we held at the fashion show and it's all our fault because we're divas. Whereas the fact they were like, no, they wanted them to be there. And it's like, when I said it was Paris Fashion Week, you've got, you know, look at how it's come from Keeping Up the Kardashians to like where they're sat next to Anna Wintour on the front row. Victoria Beckham is actually in conversation with Kim Kardashian on camera. You know, like it's yeah. I thought it was a good start to the season.
Why in this house of God do I smell secrets and fear?
We have no secrets. And with respect, Master Shardlake, it is of you and Lord Cromwell we are afraid.
On May the 1st on Disney Plus, Shardlake came out. All episodes came out. It was quite small. It was only 4 episodes, which is quite interesting. It has been advertised. I've been seeing the posters pretty much everywhere, and the only reason I watched it was because my dad is in it. Sean Bean.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay. My father, not actually my father, Sean Bean is in it. I will say now that man only did 1 day's work. He was hardly in it. They put him on all the advertisement. He is on the... I read the whole first. I was like, I forgot I did this. Yeah, he's literally like, I did 1 day work. So Arthur Hughes is our main guy. He plays Matthew Shardlake, who's our main character.
Okay.
So it's based on loads of novels. There are so many, so they can keep going with this. And I really, really hope they do. It was such an interesting concept. So... also, if anyone has Arthur's number, can I please have it? He is amazing. He is known for his theatrical. He's been on The Globe, for example. So he was already kind of in my radar, but there was points where his acting was so good, it was making everyone else look like 10-year-old children. Honestly, he was so... theatrical and Shakespearean with the way he talks, and this is all set in the Tudor times, so it's in this really weird era of Anne Boleyn is gone, and so it's there's political discourse going on around him, but he doesn't want to get involved in it, and he's in the time that he's handicapped in that situation, so he's constantly trying to prove himself. So he's the actor actually had to put on like a hunchback. He doesn't have that in real life. So he had to put that on. But yeah, his acting is absolutely incredible. The show just kept me gripped. It was 4 episodes, and it's basically they are trying to find out who has murdered some guy in a monk place. It's the quickest way to say this. But you talk to people, and they'll be like a monk, and it's like, oh yes, I am Jane's Queen Jane's cousin, and they're like, oh, so that means you're in protection right now, so if someone's been murdered, they're not going to say it's you. So it's that sort of going deeper and deeper and trying to work out who the murderer is, and other murders happen while they're there. So it's mostly him, but he also has Anthony Boy, who plays John, with him as well, and them two become like a bit of a pair. They get pushed together, and so it's all to do with the royal, like they are under the crown and they have to do these investigations. I can't really explain like why it was so good, but it was so gripping. And
I've got to say, I had not come across it.
Yeah, there's so many British actors in it. Literally, I think it was a reunion of Harry Potter and Game of Thrones.
Okay,
there was like so many, and like I said, it was. I think there's definitely something about the Tudor period where, even though it wasn't a Shakespearean, I think the language and the way that it was presented to you was all that sort of language, basically. But it was amazing. I really do recommend watching it. I really hope they do end up getting another season.
Okay.
Yeah, not really much else to say apart from that. Really amazing. I do think the costumes were a little bit of a letdown. They were too new looking. I think that's because it was such a small budget show. They've obviously had to hire a lot of it, so that means they aren't able to age costumes. Yeah, that was my only bit that I would say was a letdown, but probably 3.5 out of 5.
Good.
Like, it was good.
Yeah,
could have improvements.
Do you reckon it will get a season 2?
I really hope it will. I don't know.
I'm not come across it. Yeah. But let's see. Let's hope. Let's manifest.
So that is the end of our TV segment. We are done with
Yeah.
that. There is a few other bits and bobs of film buzz, TV buzz, that we have both noted down that we wanted to quickly run through. Nothing really in depth. So, okay, the first thing, this is when I said to you, I'm really sorry when we do this, you're going to learn how much I criticize. Are we ready? This is where I'm going to get all my beef out.
Hey, Lily, you want to do the honors?
No, you go ahead. I need to take it in from here.
I was hoping you'd say that, okay? Oh my God.
So, have you heard of the book or read the book It Ends With Us?
Is this the one that has Blake Lively in the trailer? That's my knowledge of it.
Okay.
And that people are pissed off.
So pissed off. So It Ends With Us was a book that I read when, a few years ago, I was trying to read at least a book every 2 weeks, and I was trying to expand my book knowledge, I don't know. And I ended up reading It Ends With Us because someone was like, it's kind of a romance and it will like guide you in, but it's a bit different. I was like, okay, cool. Yes, it technically is a romance, but it's about a domestic violence situation. So therefore,
Okay.
there is like, I can't. So it's about these three characters. Blake Lively obviously who plays Lily. So Lily is our main girl, and she's got this old school, this guy that she was with when she was younger called Atlantis, and then she's got her new hubby in present day. So it's
Okay.
about these three. Her new hubby in present day slowly becomes more and more abusive, and he's not great. And I thought, as a concept of a novel, it was so interesting, and for someone who is so het up on domestic violence, I follow I've worked a lot with domestic violence UK. I think it's a really big thing that we do need to talk about, especially with our youth.
Of course.
Because statistically, you're more likely to be in a domestic violence situation when you're 25 and younger, not older.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So this book, she's only 21. And I think that was the big reason that this book did so well, because people said it really shows how you can slowly end up in these situations. And her father was also abusive, so her mother is in an abusive relationship. And the point of It Ends With Us is she ends up having a child as well. Okay. And she ends up going, this is it, stop. We are not doing this anymore. So she ends up getting kind of back together with, big spoiler, she ends up getting back together with Atlantis, who's the guy from when she was younger. So really, that is the love story, that these two people are broken souls and they both have so much in their past. He was homeless, for example, and obviously she was from this domestic violence home. Yeah. And they end up just loving each other, and then they end up rekindling when they're older, and he helps her get out of this situation. And then a few years later, that's when they end up back. So the book, I remember I threw the book across the room when I finished it, because I think it was the first time that I read a book that I really do think there needs to be trigger warnings in a book, because it was so advertised as a love story that it really triggered me reading it. Yeah. But the film, I remember when it was Justin Ball. I don't know how to say his last name either. Justin, let's just go with him. Justin, he was in Jane the Virgin, but he's done quite a lot of directorial stuff as well, and I really do like his work. Okay. So I was excited when I saw that he was attached. I was like, we're on it, because he's big on TikTok and Instagram. So he fully was like, I am taking on what you guys are saying. Doesn't sound like it. No, I know. Anyway, he cast himself.
Oh, yeah.
And he's in his 40s alone. And then Blake Lively is Lily. And bear in mind, I did just say that she's fresh out of college. So this book is based straight out of college. So Blake Lively, gorgeous woman, absolutely amazing, way too old. And I don't mean that in a...
It sounds like, from what you're saying, they are very much a pull of this was that it was a younger person. Yeah. So to do this, what is the job of the character of Lily? Is there something to do with that I've read? Does she have a job in?
She's a florist. Oh. She owns her own florist, and then it's really weird. It's just, and then he's a doctor.
So what? Yeah, I feel like they've done something different. Have they done something different?
No, I think it's pretty similar.
Oh, okay.
But I think for me, it's the age up.
So why have they got? So what is the justification for the age up then?
They haven't said. I hadn't seen anything yet until I've seen the film.
That's
obviously
really
this is just.
You can't. I feel like when you mess with the age in a proposed film is that, because stories need to be told from all different generations, but I think that you almost go into a different, like a reboot scenario when you change the age of a character
by that much,
especially when it seems to be a book that has meant a lot to people. And I think this is something that this is actually unfortunately something that we've discussed twice now today is like with the tattooist of Auschwitz, and with this one, with these adaptations of much loved books, bestseller books, kind of being thrown around and not taken seriously. And I know that sometimes you don't have to do it as a carbon copy, we're fine with a bit of artistic license and things being changed, but I think that when you're fundamentally like taking the things that are important to people, I think that you're taking for granted your presumed audience, and you're just going to piss them off and end up with a bad box office or bad reviews. You won't, and
I think there's going to be so much in this novel to the screen that isn't going to work because she's older.
Okay.
She's young, she's naive. This is the point. This is her first main relationship.
Right, okay.
This is the point of the novel, and how she doesn't know, and she doesn't know any better because of her dad and how her dad was. Anyway, so that's my 2 cents on that.
Okay.
I was very annoyed. I'm going to watch it when it comes out. I'll talk about it more in August.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
So that's when it comes out in August?
Yeah, it comes out in August. But this month, all the advertisements came out.
Are you going to watch it?
Yes, I'm going to see it pretty much the second it goes out. The hate watch.
Oh, there's something beautiful about hate watch, isn't there?
Yeah. Have you seen the news about Flesh of God as well?
Is that the Kirsten Stewart?
Yes, Kristen Stewart and Oscar Isaac are going to be vampires in this 80s setting.
God. 80s vampires.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We don't really know too much. I did look into the team. It seems like it's quite a new director, but the screenwriter, who is Andrew Kevin Walker, also did. He does a lot of dark thrillers, so he's known for Seven.
He wrote Seven?
Yeah, that's the main thing I will say.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I'm really I'm so looking forward to how this turns out.
And also, what a title, Flesh of the God. That's very it's very carnal, like it's
But 80s LA is the setting, and
well,
just that alone.
I guess it's going to definitely, is it going to be a bit of a homage to the Lost Boys, done in a tasteful way. But yeah, that was, it's an announcement, so it's just an
announcement.
So we've got a while to that one then. Maybe next Halloween.
Maybe they're going to be filming it currently, so we'll see.
Give us next Halloween.
And then we've also had... Right, this is an interesting one, and this is going to segue us a little bit into Cannes Film Festival. So, Firebrand, which is about Catherine Parr, comes out this... has been announced to be coming out next month, so we've suddenly had trailers for it. But it actually was premiered for the first time last year at Cannes Film Festival, but it's only now getting an official release. Anything to do with the Tudors, I'm all over. So... Yeah. Catherine Parr is such...
That's really interesting. I haven't heard about this one at all.
Catherine Parr is, if you're a proper...
I know about Catherine Parr.
Yeah, if you're into it, I think she was a horrible person. That's my 2 cents. I do not think she was... even though she was, like, one of the last wives... I do not think she was a nice person, because what she did after.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that one.
Who's playing Catherine Parr? Do we know? Is it a well-known actress? Oh, Alicia Vikander. Oh, she's fantastic. Yeah, she's one in Ex Machina.
Yeah,
she's the one in Ex Machina. She's in The Danish Girl. She was a Lara Croft. We've
also got Jude Law as Henry VIII. Which,
you can't see, listener, but I did just roll my eyes at that. Yeah. Actually, I am going to stand by that rolling eye, because by the time Catherine Parr was knocking about, Henry was not in his Jude Law era. He was in his fat gout, nearly dying era.
Don't you worry, because I do think they have made him look like that. So Jude Law is definitely...
Is this Oscar bait?
I think it could be an Oscar bait film. We'll see what it's like. But obviously, it's been like... There's literally one little trailer that's come out, a few stills. Coming out next month, like I said, but this has only just been announced.
Interesting. I don't know what this... I don't know if it's still doing this, but I feel like you're right. June is looking like a good film month.
I know.
Yeah, so many films, so little time.
We also next month alone, because I already have been pulling them.
Yeah.
We've got the Bikers.
Which one?
Bikers.
Oh yes.
Bike, yeah. Also, little pull for myself. We've got A Quiet Place Day 1.
Oh yes.
Which I worked on. I was the production secretary. Film and TV wise, we've got Bridgerton, House of Dragons, The Bear. So even them three alone, amazing.
See, I will say The Bear is one that I have not watched, but I am very much planning to.
Oh, please watch it.
Especially because because I live with a chef, and I actually asked him today.
Yeah.
Have you watched The Bear? What do you think of it? As a chef, and he said some bits no, some bits extremely realistic.
Yeah, no, it's just gorgeous. It's everything about it. Anyway, that's next month. So obviously, Cannes Film Festivals was last year. I don't remember hearing much about it, but this year has been quite a lot about security.
Yeah, I've seen those videos, and it does seem to be, and it keeps happening again. I mean, I think when it happened to Kelly Rowland for that security, if you haven't seen it, it's like the security guard, this particular security guard is very heavy-handed, this woman, and firstly it was kind of brought to attention with Kelly Rowland. I think people just thought, oh, Kelly Rowland's in diva, but no, it keeps happening, and it's just like, you have got to, I know you have got a procedure to do, but ultimately, like, this is something that's always happened at Cannes and film festivals, is you have to give the stars their time on that carpet. They are being paid to wear wear the dresses or outfits, and to have that moment, there are people there to see them. So I think, let's. I don't think that person will be there next year.
Anyway, Cannes Film Festival is definitely one that I don't comment on much because I think it's so elite and it's so much does get released in Cannes Film Festival, and then I do find quite a good half of it does take a while for it to then get released properly. So it's quite an interesting festival. But also we've had a few weeks ago we had the Legally Blonde announcement about Elle, which is going to be a TV show, a prequel.
We kind of actually touched on Legally Blonde earlier. Yeah. How do you feel about the prequel?
I'm a bit nervous. I'm not going to lie.
Is it necessary?
It's not necessary, but it is still Amazon and it is still Hello Sunshine, which is Reese Witherspoon's production company. And I can't say I've liked every single thing that woman has produced. Yeah. So I have faith in her, and I think I have faith that she loves Legally Blonde so much as well. She loves Elle Woods. Yeah. I really was hoping for Legally Blonde 3. Because Legally Blonde 2 was awful.
I mean, for me, it's one of those that I ignore the fact that it's a Legally Blonde 2. I'm just like, it's Legally Blonde. But I think as well, it's like, my thing with this is it needed? But I will also, let's see what it's like. Yeah. I mean, but also it's a prequel. If it's a prequel, how old is Elle in in Legally Blonde? Watched at 18, 19? So we're going to watch a teenage.
She would be, so she has already graduated college, and this is lawyer school, so she would be 22.
Okay, but still, so are high school? So we're gonna see high school?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Which again, I don't really know if we need, but.
I don't think we need.
Who's going to be Elle is the big thing.
Well, I mean, there has been some discussion that everyone thinks it should be her daughter, but I don't think her daughter's into acting.
It's hard because they do look so similar, but is she an actress?
Well, this is it. Yeah, I mean, it will. I think what will be good as well is that it will. Not that, if people aren't aware of some generations of Legally Blonde, this will make them go and watch the original because it is an important text for all people to watch.
It's so Y2K.
It's so Y2K.
And then the final thing I think we're going to discuss is kinds of kindness, and I've got something else to add.
Yeah. Pardon?
I've got something else to add.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I am extremely excited for this, and it's out on the 21st of June, and I will be kind to see it as soon as I can. Because I'm actually a big fan of the directors. Obviously with Poor Things last year, I remember I actually went to cinema to see The Lobster when it came out, and I think that anything that's come out about this film, went from the stills of Emma Stone dancing, and the star cast as well, and then with a bit of a glimpse. I mean, at Cannes as well, when Jesse Plemons got the actor award, the quite a prestigious award to have that one as well. So even though it's one of those trailers where there's not much being told about it, but do you know what? I'm really here for it, and it's one that I'm very excited to see at cinema, and I think. I really like seeing this collaboration between the director and Emma Stone because I think that, we're more often than not, it's when we see these collaborations with the directors and it's usually a director and an actor, like your Leonardo, your Scorsese, etc. But I'm quite enjoying this refreshing collaboration and partnership, and I will be going to cinema to see it for sure.
Yeah, I'm on a little bit of a flip. I know I'm very. It's not that I don't like the director. I do. They're not my cup of tea, though. I did watch Poor Things. I have watched The Favourite. They're just Poor Things. I thought was great. Like I really enjoyed that. Favourite on the other hand, I didn't like too much. But this is something that both of us have now known, and this is official. Is that he's already started working on the next film. So that means in 1 year alone, he's done like. Poor Things has been released. Now he's got Kinds of Kindness being released.
Some creative role.
Yeah, and now he's already in production to make another film. And he's very attached to the UK and Emma Stone, as you said. So yeah, he's I won't even say he's one to watch anymore. He's just established. And
he's really established, and I think it's one that I'm quite enjoying. Like, it's not a trailer that tells you everything that happens. Yeah, you know, and I mean, it doesn't mean this is the thing with Cannes is. Everyone gets a bloody standing ovation. They got a decent one. It didn't get the longest one. It got a 7-minute one. I think the longest one was a 14-minute one. Also, the concept of us clapping for 7 minutes. Christ, I mean, I can clap for 30 seconds and I'm just going to be like, I'm just going to just nod.
Yeah, like, woo, did well done.
Yeah.
But the trailer for us sitting here only actually dropped yesterday, so it dropped on the 29th of May. And the film actually comes out on the 21st of June. It's by Spotlight Pictures, which I don't feel like you hear about as much these days.
No, you don't.
No. But no, interesting. It's going to be one, I will watch it as well. I don't know if I'll watch it the second it comes out, but I will talk about it when it is released. But I think that is it for this month. There's a lot has happened. There's a lot that we haven't covered. And you've been a great guest.
Thank you for having me, Liv. I've really enjoyed it.
No, you've been absolutely amazing. You've brought so much that I wouldn't have brought. Thanks for listening. You can follow me on Instagram. I do upload these to YouTube as well now. Obviously, this is on Spotify, so please listen. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok, actually. I do put some stuff on TikTok. And my handle is Film Critic Life. So everything is actually exactly the same, all Film Critic Life. And I'm also going to say about following Lauren.
Brilliant.
What's your handle?
Thank you. My handle is lol, LOL _Mary_C. So that's lol Mary C.
Yeah. And I hope you all had a good month of May. And I'll see you all again in June.
Okay, bye everyone.